Now, after the long wait, Nigeria's 36 state governors have backed the creation of state police to tackle the country's security challenges. Now, they presented their position reports highlighting the need for decentralized policing to address unique regional security challenges. The National Economic Council has postponed further deliberation on this until January 2024. But people are asking, will state police effectively address Nigeria's security challenges? Now, joining me on the conversation this evening, I have security experts. First of all, let's start with Dennis Amachree, former Assistant Director, Department of State Services, all the way from New York, USA. We also have Lanre Toluhi, his political analyst in the UK, and also Reverend Joseph Hayab, Country Director at Global Peace Foundation, Nigeria, Kaduna State. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you.
All right, let me begin with Dennis Amachree. Now, Dennis, with the National Economic Council now showing broad support for state police, I mean, we know how much, or what it took or how long it took before, they arrived at this. Do you think this shift is as a result of genuine concern for security, or could it be motivated by political expediency?
Well, I think both had issues to do with that. Political expediency, and then, of course, the threats that are facing Nigerians for a very long time. We've been advocating for a state police for so long, and it's been dragging through the National Assembly, and then until now, I think they've taken a very proper stand to say that, yes, it's time for us to establish the state police.
All right, let's hear from Reverend Hayab what he thinks about, this, the fact that, the NEC has actually come out and actually shown support for state policing at this time.
Yeah, you know that in the past few years, we've been having issues surrounding setting up security outfits because of the growing insecurity challenge. In the southwest, we have the Omotekum. In the north, we have different groups with different names, also in the southeast and south-south. So state police should be something that unify the country with a name that wouldn't be so confusing. So I think the governors have taken the right decision to support this, because it is actually proper, because those different groups we are having themselves have their own problem. So we should just have a police, state police and a federal police, than have all these different names around in the country.
Okay. Now, Lanre, over to you. Now, given the persistent insecurity in Nigeria, with vast ungoverned spaces and also inadequate federal law enforcement personnel. Now, what do you think? Do you believe that the creation of state police will significantly address security challenges?
Yes, state police will definitely do that, because we need to understand, like in a country like Nigeria, with diversity from ethnicity to religion and all that, state policing is not just a necessity, it is an inevitability for a country like ours. So having all these things done, you can see that when we have state policing, we can start addressing what we need to address. Because when you look at the UN Charter saying that, UN Charter is saying there should be one policeman to at least 450 people, 450 persons. But Nigerian population, as the projected population is that we are 200 million or above. And when you do that calculation, if you are benchmarking it as 200 million, we are saying one police officer to 540 citizens, which is maybe below what the UN is saying that it should be. So we need to now start understanding that how do we tackle this? How do we put ourselves in a situation where we can benchmark ourselves with the best in the world, and we are following what the UN Charter is saying, and at the same time ensuring that the security of life and property of the citizenry. And when you understand that with state policing, the officers or the constabulary, what they call it, whatever it is, it's a little bit more local, The people knows the terrain. You know, you have it's about you putting the right peg, the round peg in the right hole. That's what it will do for the nation Nigeria.
Okay, let's hear from Dennis. Dennis, now, even the Kaduna State governor talked about, the fact that there's so much ungoverned space in Nigeria and the fact that the security personnel, are inadequate. Now, what do you think? Do you think that these state policing will help tackle security locally?
Well, let's go back to basics. You see, crime is committed in a locality. Crime is always committed in a locality. No matter where it is, it will be under a local government. So, and then of course, you mentioned it, and the governor himself has realized that we have a lot of ungoverned spaces. What ungoverned spaces? These are areas that there is no presence of any kind of law enforcement. So we have bandits who go in there. It's just like uncompleted building. People go, and then when there is the building is not being completed, the owner is not around, and then of course homeless people will move in there and make a home out of it. And that's what is happening to us on the ungoverned spaces. So they go there, they stay there, and then of course they come out to do kidnapping, do all kinds of things. So it is very necessary that we have law enforcement at the grassroots level. And with the grassroots level, at least there will be a DPO in any local government, as we do have. And then, of course, increase the number so that these people can be deployed to take care of the very, very empty spaces that we have. And of course, that will take a lot of restructuring, and I think we'll talk more about that later.
Okay. All right. Now, Reverend Hayab, now, when it comes to insecurity, Kaduna State has actually, been at the forefront of those who have suffered enormously when it comes to that. Now, how will the decentralization improve response times and also tackle local security issues more effectively?
I say the way and manner security are being deployed in Nigeria by the federal government or by the federal police sometimes do not address the local challenges, as my colleague said earlier. The reality is that crimes are committed in local communities, crimes are committed within a given area. And the people of that area know the terrain and know people in that area more than anybody can tell. So for us, state police will help deal with those local crime, deal with those local terrorists or bandits or whatever you call, because they live among them, they know the routes, they understand the routes, not someone who may come and say, oh, this place, I don't even know where to go, and go back. As I said earlier, you know that already there's an existing security outfit called in Kaduna Kadvis. And these people don't even have the power to do certain things. They have less understanding of how to operate and address security challenges. So a state police will have better training, a state police will have better legal backing that she could handle this kind of criminals and this kind of situations that we have in our local community. I know very well that just this year, our governor have recruited almost 8,000, if not more, of such people. So if state police eventually come, it's not just everybody that will go in. There are certain requirements for recruitment that will come into place and some basic trainings that will follow. And they will be able to come in from those communities, posted to go and secure their communities and have a legal backing to operate. You will see that the impact will be higher than what we are having at the moment. And that's why I strongly support, and I'm happy that the state governors are thinking together. You know, in the past, people just come and talk as if we are talking for our region, talking for our state alone. But this, from what the governor said and from the decision of the National Economic Council, it is like a collective discussion, idea, and support, so that we will not just address insecurity in Kaduna, we will address insecurity in Ondo, address insecurity in Benin, address insecurity in Enugu, and everywhere. Then Nigeria will begin to come back to an era of safety, an era of peace, and an era of security.
Okay. Now, while almost everyone seems to agree with decentralizing the police, and this is for Lanre, some have actually said that decentralizing police powers, to states will unintentionally lead to local conflicts, particularly in states with weak political structures or entrenched local power dynamics. What's your take on this?
Well, for me, I would beg to differ. Yes, we know there will be issues and all that, but we need to first understand that state policing is just about bringing our security closer to the people because it allows quicker response time, better understanding of the local issue, and a stronger community trust because the people want to trust the people. They know the people. They know who is enforcing this law. They can relate to them. See, the police officers or whoever they name, they will tag them or calling in local police. They understand the culture, they understand the languages, they understand the terrain of the community. They can blend in into the community easily without stress and all that. Yes, because we need to understand that all these things are happening, and the good thing is it's not going to be in Nigeria for the first time. Nigeria will not be a novel case. It's not going to be a test. It's not going to be a pilot state. We've seen it happen because we run a federal system. The American run the federal system, Canada run the federal system, India run federalism system. Sorry, I say federal system. They run the system of federalism. And it is happening in the US, it's happening in Canada. India is using it. They have decentralized their policing. And because we are a federal republic, we need to understand how these are. And as long as Nigeria is a federal republic, we should not be exceptional in our approach. We should learn how to copy these things that are right and implement them. Let me not tell you what's happening in Lagos. I'm sure we've all heard of what is happening in Lagos. They have the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps. We've seen what they've been doing. They've shown what localized security initiative can do. We've seen what they've been doing. They've been making impact, and this model seems to be working well. So we cannot tell every state in Nigeria go study what's happening in Lagos and see how they've been doing it because they are doing this, and we know that a lot of people here there's a risk of politicizations. Local people want to politicize this, governors or political office holders want to do it. Yes, these are valid concerns. They might want to misuse it for political purposes, but it is not a reason for us to now abandon this idea altogether because it's a good idea. Instead, all we need to do is we ensure that we have a strong oversight mechanism such that of an independent police commissioner to ensure there's accountability and to prevent the abuse. At the same time, too, we must now also remember that the federal police, it is not even immune to political interference because we've seen that the federal police too is not immune from this. So the solution is not to avoid state policing, but rather to build a safeguarding for the system, to build structure that can help us address this.
Okay. Now, Mr. Amachree, Nigeria's constitution currently centralizes policing, under the federal government. Now, do you foresee any legal challenges to the creation of state police, particularly with respect to potential constitutional amendments?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There is the first step. In fact, what is going to happen for the first time, the first step is legislative framework. They have to do that because, first of all, they have to cancel that first section, the section 214 of our Constitution, and section 2142A, and then, of course, section 216, which vests the power of the police in the Inspector General. These sections have to be redone, reviewed, or cancelled. Because what we are going to have right now is that we are going to have federal police, and then we're going to have state police. And the federal police will be enforcing laws that affect the federal system. For instance, if there's a drug case, for instance, or if there's a financial crime case, for instance, or national security, then the federal police will handle it. So we're talking about, EFCC, we're talking of NDLA, or even the DSS, which will be dealing with federal crimes. And even if it happens in a locality, the federal police will be invited to come and take it over. That's how it is done. And then, of course, we have to enact another law again, just like the Police Act, another law for the creation of state police. And that has to, be in our books. So these are the legislative frameworks that we have to look at before we create them. Then after we create them, there are other structures that have to come with it, like in the states where it is being created, what are going to be the headquarters, what are going to be the legislative zonal offices, and then of course recruitment. And then in that recruitment is very, very important. That is where you start to get the kind of people you want to put in the police force. Now, state police does not mean that they are just local guys that are going to, be running around thinking of, what do they call it now? Parking lots or other kinds of things. State police will also have a specialized team called the SWAT. And this SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics, these are guys that will respond to, any violent crime that could happen within the state, while the other police will be doing the normal police job of detection of crime, prosecution, arrest and prosecution and stuff like that. So it's a gamut of things. It's not just an announcement. There are a lot of things to be done before we can set up this police system.
Well, it looks like they have, a huge task ahead of them. Let's hear from Lanre, still on the same, question. What changes to the Constitution will be necessary for the establishment of state police to be fully legitimate?
The change is just like the former DSS director, the said. It's just exactly just like I'm going this week. We need to understand that there's a clear jurisdictional boundary between the federal and the federal and the state policing. There might be cases that the federal policing will be taken care of and the state policing will be taken care of. And we now need to now understand that, you see, crime, just like in our opening statement, we said, every crime is being committed locally, wherever you think it is, in Lagos, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, in Kano, in Zamfara. No matter where it is, it belongs to a locality. And it is easier for those in the locality, especially those that are aware, that are security aware, that have security awareness, to know how to tackle these things. Now, what we need to do is we need to now do the legislative, because we know, like we said, we are running a federalism system and we are running a democratic system. So we need to know. Now, it's not just the state governors coming and say, okay, we want to establish state police, and everybody, okay, go to your tent in Israel, start opening everything and you have to do that. We need to now understand that it is a process. We need to now go to the state and the National Assembly. It need to be debated, and once it is debated, I know he needs to go to the State Assembly, and we know they need to have been on 2/3 of those State Assembly agreeing to that. And once that is agreed, we now give them terms of reference. They need to understand the terms of reference, what needed to be done, what the scope of what each state policing will do, and what the federal policing will do. And the present federal police we have, what would they do, how many people are there? Because the truth is, like we said, we need a form of training. We need there will be a need for form of training, form of easing it into the system. Now, those already in the system, in the federal policing, how many will be going? Because these guys will need, a lot of them, a particular percentage might need to go back to their various states and all that to help strengthening what they are trying to start. And that we understand. And because we must understand that we cannot just start doing it because we feel it is right. We can't do what is right in a wrong way. We must do what is right in the right way. So there must be there must be a kind of legislative move that need to ratify this whole thing. It needs to be accepted by the president. And once it's accepted by the president, each government has to now take it to their various states. talk with our state assemblies, domesticate this law so that the state policing can start in the right way.
All right. Now let's come back to Reverend Hayab. Now, speaking of some of these states that are affected by, banditry and the likes, let's consider several states, including Kaduna and Katsina, that have been affected by insurgencies, terrorism, and the rest. How will state police handle issues, that cross state borders, such as cross-border banditry?
Let me put it this way. From the drafting of the act to establish state police, those demarcations will be clearly spelled out. Don't forget that we still have the federal police that will have a role to play in securing Nigeria, just as we have the FBI and others in the US. Of course, in the US, counties and states have their police. And the fact is that the way and manner they engage their police, I remember I was in California the other time, and I just realized it is just the community or the county there that recruit our chief of police. So it has been tested, and we have good examples across the globe that these things have worked. Let's not also forget that before the establishment of the federal police, police, as it was established in Nigeria, was established from Lagos, then the Niger Coastal, the Hausa Constable, and the Calabar. So there have been a test of these things, and they had certain successes that can be recorded. But let me add to this. We have been crying that the constitution we are operating today was just given to us with less input. Issues like creation of state police is also a way of beginning to review some part of our constitution, so that now we are bringing in things that really affect us, things that affect us directly, and we want the constitution to have a play or a role to give each and a state and the federal unit on what to do. So I don't really see this as a difficult thing. Someone even asked me that, okay, what about the funding? And I say, wait a minute. How many times are governors telling us that they are giving money for security vote? Now the security vote becomes money voted for the police, state police. So you don't need to start telling us about another security vote, because we already have an agency. Because most of the one they call security vote are just like PR that they give to some people, and at the end they're not going to do the job. So since we have a clear-cut boundary, we also know a case that involves boundary A and boundary B, the federal police know how to handle that. But the case that is within this boundary, the state police will handle this, and the state police on the other side will handle this. And in the act, there will be a clear definition of where the powers of state police starts and end, and where the intervention of federal police comes to play. And all these things will be clear. I'm not trying to begin to look at our national assemblies as people who don't know what they're doing. I believe they know, and we have a good drafter of act in Nigeria that understand this, and they are going to insert it. And there will be a public hearing. Members of the public will suggest this is to do to avoid boundary issues or state versus state crisis, even in the appointment on who becomes. From that, we will be able to know, the National Assembly and Nigerians will be able to suggest how appointment, not just recruitment, of who becomes in charge of state police will be. Then certain things will be catered for. So we are about to experience something that we have, or we are about to come back with something that we've done before, and it has some successes and had challenges. So we learn from what were the success and also learn from the challenges and improve it this time around, considering our peculiar situation. I don't think it's going to be a problem, since it is not like state A is saying yes and state B is saying no. So there will be conflict.
But then,
state
Reverend,
A, B, C, D.
Some of these states, have also complained that, they're broke. You talked about funding, and that is actually a very valid question. Most of these states complain that they're broke. So how can the establishment of the state, of this state police be addressed without, straining more of some of these states' resources?
If you had listened to me, what I said is that today in Nigeria, virtually many of the state governors would tell you that they are spending huge money in what they call security vote. Now we have the security in person, not the imaginary security vote that billions are spent, you don't know where it is going to. So now that security vote should be channeled to what is visible, what is concrete, what is you can touch and feel. That is the presence of the police. I don't say this to look down on any agency of Nigeria, but truly speaking, in our country, despite the fact that the police, the Nigerian police, the SSS, the other agencies that our federal government have their budgetary allocation, a lot of public relations go between them and governor in state, and he still have no right over them. Now, channel these resources to our police. As long as they secure our community, that's what Nigerians will be happy about. That's what Nigerians will be glad about. And that's why I applaud this decision for state police, because we will also stop that pipe that people just use money and call it security vote into something that is more concrete, that people can touch. Their young men and community people will be engaged in the work, and they are now knowing that this is our community. We secure it, we secure ourselves. We do not secure it, we are not securing ourselves. So they will take it serious. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just proper way of doing it. Now the money you've been sharing and calling insecurity, you have a real place to really put the money. There could be in the law or in the act establishing the state police a provision where a certain amount of money is removed from before allocation, from the state allocation straight to security, the state police. These things are done. If we can do it with the judiciary and it's working, we are not hearing any contest, we can do it with, because it is security. The most important thing is that Nigerians must be secured. Nigerian people should feel secured, because the killings, the insecurity has actually made many Nigerians no longer useful to themselves, nor useful to the country.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, apologies, but we'll have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll definitely continue with this conversation. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on the conversation. Now we're discussing state policing, and we still have our guests with us, Dennis Amachree, Lanre Toluhi, and Reverend Joseph Hayab. Thank you for staying with us, gentlemen. Now, let me pass this next question to Mr. Amachree. Now, in your view, I know that you've actually talked about, you've listed processes that actually needs to be followed to effectively create state police, and, which you also talked about, levels and, who is to handle what when it comes to the state and the federal police. But in your view, what specific advantages would a state police force have, over the federal police in regions with a high prevalence of criminality, such as in the Northwest and also in the Northeast?
Okay. We're not trying to do a comparative analysis here, but, the police itself, basically all of them are doing the same job. They are doing the same job because the Constitution has said it. The primary responsibility of government is the safety and security of the citizens. So all of them are out there to police the nation. And the ones for state police are those ones who jurisdictionally are doing their job of that state or that county, because here in the United States, they even have county sheriffs, which are like local government police, and these guys also have their own structure. The laws that govern their activities are there, and just like you were asking my other colleagues here, if there is a law, somebody that has committed a crime is being pursued by the police of that area, and they pursue him up to the extent of that state boundary, and if he runs into the other state, then they turn back. But when they turn back, they also call the state over there, to look out for this particular criminal. So it's a synergy, where they work together with each other and do their job.
Okay. Now, Lanre, we know that, Governor Sani did mention that, there's a serious understaffing of the police and all that. But can you please go ahead and tell us if you feel that this could actually lead to a duplication of efforts between the state and federal police? Because some critics also have said that it will lead to duplication of jobs or designation.
For me, I don't think it will lead to duplication of effort or responsibility. When we're talking earlier, we said they need to be experts out tail out term of reference everybody is doing. The job description totally done. And like the two gentlemen that I'm here with have been saying it, the law will be clear, the acts establishing the state policies will be clear, letting each state know or letting them know the function of what the state police are and what the function or when the federal police will be stepping in. So there's not going to be duplication. Rather, it's going to be it's going to be a strong approach. It's going to be a more proactive method to curb crime and at the same time to give a quicker turnaround time in terms of crime, solving crime and all that. And people need to understand this, that this state policing, it's not just by the name state policing. It is way beyond we thinking it is just having security outfit or having men to mount security outfit. It's way more than that, because when you look at what state policing is bringing on board, it will help foster our democracy as a nation, because it shows that we are taking our democratic institutions stronger. We're understanding what it is for democracy. And because we are understanding that, we won't be thinking of the fact that we think that duplication, because all those people thinking, a lot of people thinking that there will be duplication and all that is because people are thinking that, oh, we are say having this double mind about it. Do we really need it? Do we not need it? Is it going to be what we've been used to, where people just talk and talk and talk, cannot do, or what we just decide to do something different, or like what we are having in the federal ministries and in the FDAs we have in Nigeria? No, the state policing will be doing what the state policing will do, and the federal policing will do what the federal policing will do. Just like the director of DSS, former director of DSS is saying, he's telling you, in the US, we have the FBI, we have the state policing, we have the county sheriffs, and we have all of them doing that. Now, are there duplications? No. There are some things that happen in some parts of the US. You know it is jurisdiction of the county sheriff, and it gets to a particular level. You know it's now come to the state policing, and it gets to a particular level, something like kidnapping and all that. You know it is the time for the FBI to step in, which is the federal policing. That is it. So if all this in a Western spread out, we've done good legislation, we've decided to draft a good terms of reference for them, and everything is well legislated, there won't be duplication. What we need to do and how we need to understand it is that we now need to understand that Nigeria is now practicing what it said or what it meant to be practicing, which is true federalism. Because in true federalism, we must understand that it captures state policing in true federalism. And if you, especially when we say we are tailoring our own democracy after the United States, and that is why we're having all the things we are having, then we should do what is right and do it the way we should do it.
Okay. Now, Reverend Hayab, given the historical distrust between local communities and also federal security agencies, how can the new state police forces, be structured to prevent political interference and also promote transparency?
Thank you very much. In the first place, we clearly understand that the state police will be people who are indigenous. Already you cannot distrust your son or distrust your neighbor or distrust your colleagues. So they are all from the same community or from the same state, even if they are interchanged by posting. So people have to develop a trust for their own and know this one is coming to defend and protect them. With all people complain about police, once there's any pains or any crisis, you still see them calling police and asking police to come and intervene. So there is still trust, but it's just that sometimes when certain things get bad, people cry out. So I see state police as coming to even remedy that, to restore the trust deficit that has been existing, to build confidence, to bring hope. People will always say, oh, but a governor can manipulate the commissioner or the state commissioner of police or state director of police, whatever time they choose to call him. And I say, wait a minute. There's no governor that will go beyond his limit. He either serve 1 full time 4 years or serve 2 times 4 years, and he's going to go. So if there are laws that provide how this police need to operate and what this police needs to do, the governor wouldn't want to disgrace himself and put his name in bad light by violating such law. Yes, there are things happening around now, but you see, we are growing and becoming, we want to be like other nations of the world. We shouldn't be afraid of attempting to do what is right just because someone has abused the law yesterday or someone will violate the law tomorrow. Then let the law take its course, and then he will know the difference between a lawbreaker and a responsible citizen. So for me, state police will actually help to restore confidence. State police will also help to make policing something that is almost in every street of Nigeria. We have talked about the under-policing. You know, I do say this and I want to repeat it here, that there's also an existing problem with deployment as it is in the Nigerian police. Now the deployment will have a different phase because we already have the existing national police and the state police. So certain groups will be deployed to this, to that. And like you see, most of our governors and National Assembly members or bourgeois have chains of police in their homes. And okay, now that changes. My colleague a while ago was sharing and using the experience of the United States of America, where they have the FBI, they have the state police, they have county police. Look, even organizations have police they train to secure their group. There are certain crimes committed in the office or in the place of work that this police will arrest and hand over to the county police or to the state police. So we are getting to where proper security will be put in place. Deployment of resources for security will be put in proper place, because now we are talking about the people, we are talking about the challenge in the local community, and people now taking ownership of this system, because this police is ours. You can't even begin to talk about whether he came from another place, because he comes from you, and then he takes advantage of the knowledge he has about the place, the language, the terrain, and everything will work well. I just believe that Nigerians need to accept this and give it a trial. We have tried it before and it worked. It wasn't that completely what happened in the past was bad. So we can still go back to it. And with technology now, the challenges will be minimal.
Okay. Now, Mr. Amachree, during past discussions, I remember on the creation of state police, you know, several governors like former Lagos Governor Akinwumi Ambode, governors of Rivers State and also Anambra expressed concerns that state police would become tools for political control. Now, still on politics, how can the federal government ensure that state police are not politicized, especially during elections?
Well, you see, that's the funny nut that we have to crack. You see, and to solve this particular problem is to have a very good legislative framework. You know, a very good legislative framework. I know a lot of people have kicked against state police because they believe that, oh, the governor is going to have his own police. In fact, listen to them right now. You hear some governors, you know, I'm the chief security officer of my state, but I don't have a police. So he's looking for a police that he will control, you know. And then, of course, some of them are like, if they remove the Inspector General, I've removed all my policemen, so I don't have security. That is not exactly what it should be. Because right now, the laws that guard it and the people that are going to be appointed are going to be, in the United States here, the Commissioner of Police or the Chief Constable of a state, you know, who controls either the local government police or the state police, are elected. You know, and when they're elected, it's the people. The people are the ones that put him there. It's not the governor. And the state police is not designed as an appendage of the government, of the governor. It's an independent body that is supposed to be responsible for the enforcement of law. And they have to do equal justice under the law. So, you see, it is a situation where we have to draft it properly and then make sure that and then there will have to be some kind of checks and balances whereby there are other, even non-independent bodies that are going to be supervising the police. Overview, let me put it that way, overview, whereby they should also be able to talk about whether the police is doing well or they are, diverting or deviating from their responsibilities.
Okay, still on you, Mr. Amachree now. But what about when it comes to, Nigeria's fragile human rights situation that we're actually seeing at the moment, particularly regarding police brutality and, community relations? How will the establishment of this state police impact all this?
Okay. Now, one thing, just like I mentioned earlier, the police is established to protect lives and property. And then, of course, there is another thing that we are forgetting. The police is supposed to serve and protect. The Nigeria police, the one we have right now, if we go back to look at how it was created, you find out that it was not designed for the people. It was designed to take care of the colonial masters. And it continued doing that. Because after independence, when the colonialists have left, the new ogas that came in were the politicians. And then you start having the same people, protecting the Nigerian politicians as they were protecting the colonialists. That's why today you see a politician, even a local government chairman, moving around with all kinds of more than 20 mobile policemen, while the society is left open, and these are the policemen that are supposed to fight crime in the society. Somebody have taken them to guard him. Why should a local government chairman have a police to guard him? He's supposed to be a man of the people. He's supposed to mix with the people. He's supposed to talk to them, but here they are, doing another thing. So the creation of state police is to bring back, that trust between the people and the police. So that trust deficit will be eliminated. Their mantra now will be to serve and protect the people and not to police them in the sense of, it's just like you see a LASMA policeman. Instead of controlling traffic, he will hide somewhere and wait for anybody who will enter a one-way. And there are not enough signs. So as soon as you enter the one-way, from nowhere, they jump in front of your car and tell you, hey, park, because you've committed an offense already. I remember I was driving down somewhere in Louisiana, and what happened? We went into a wrong way, and the police was driving on the other side and saw us and flashed and stopped us. And he said, do you know you're in the wrong way? We said, yes, we do, because all the cars are going the wrong way. We said, okay, fine. He stopped the traffic, tell us to turn around and go the right way. And that's what police is supposed to do. It is not, one that they are looking for ways to punish you. No, the police is there to serve you. And that's why we should change that name from Nigeria Police Force to Nigerian Police Service, and of course, when we create the police, state police, it should be state police service, because they are there to serve people.
All right. Well, Lanre, you've heard all that Mr. Amachree has said, and also still talking about, human rights. We've seen a decline when it comes to press freedom, and also brutality when it comes to protests and all. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it is when we get at the human rights and all that, it's just boiled down because we have the central police. Just like everyone said, you see some government will tell you they are the chief security officer of their state, but they don't have control of their commission police because they get orders from the IG and the IG get orders from the CNC. Now, this human rights thing is about because we have a centralized police and all that. I know that, when we have the state police, when it is localized, when the hierarchy is closer to the people, where the people have easy access to who is policing them, and it is now a police that is serving the people, not a police that is imposing or forcing the people, then the human right will automatically drop, because we're going to have a human face to it, and we're going to how the people can relate, because there are people they can relate with. They're their sons, their daughters, son and daughters of the soil, people that it is known. And the relation of people, for me, it's the relation of people of that imaging of such places, but people that have been residents in such places for so long, that are already part of the community, that are integrated into the community, so they understand. So the human right will be protected, because nobody will come through. They can easily be accessed, they can easily be reached, and they wouldn't want to break the law, because they know they are in their community and they are part of the community. So they wouldn't want to do things that will hurt their community, because I don't think there's anybody that wants to hurt the community that they belong to. All these cases we are seeing, all these human rights abuse, gagging of the press and all that, is because the police is centralized. And it brings me to look, we need to understand that when we have a centralized police system, or in a federal state like Nigeria, it's just like us running a marathon with one leg tied, and we all know what's going to happen. It's going to be inefficient.
Okay,
it's not
Lanre.
going to be sustainable. It's going to be...
We just have, a few more minutes. Let's hear from Reverend Hayab, his last stake. Mr. Amachree did talk about, the police force not being designed for the people, but for colonial masters and the like. So go ahead and tell us, what you feel about police force, that's the state police force, respecting citizens' rights and also operating with integrity.
The issue of human rights abuse, as far as Nigeria is concerned, is not only with the police or security agencies. Virtually every institution seems to have that problem. And so it is a national and a problem that we have to deal with it, so that we don't just tag one group as if they are the ones. You see even our clerics abusing people in the way they operate religion. You see our banks taking advantage of people, though you have come to save money. You see our hotel not treating people right, though they're supposed to be service delivery. So this is a problem that we need to deal with in Nigeria. I chose to say this because sometimes we just limit it to one group, not knowing that it's virtually, even in media reporting, we have such kind of attitude. So if we deal with this nationally, we deal with it in our lifestyle, in the way we run our country, then we won't even be afraid of violation of human rights abuse by state police. But I quite enjoy what my colleague said about even the use of name. Sometimes a woman will give birth to a son and call him a lion, so he start behaving like one. So when we start calling our police, instead of looking at them as people who are supposed to serve us, we call them with force. So they want to exercise force. So in the legislature, on the act to establish state police, the name will be considered, certain aspect of policing will be considered, violation of human rights will be considered, and all these things. You could even be inserted that no state police will guard anybody's house.
Sadly, we've actually, run out of time. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for a very, very insightful and very intriguing conversation. Dennis Amachree, former Assistant Director, Department of State Services, Lanre Toluhi, political analyst, and also Reverend Joseph Hayab, Country Director at Global Peace Foundation, Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we've come to the end of the conversation. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I remain Darshan Usman. Take care and have a wonderful weekend.